The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Positive Talk Radio. This is, now I had the opportunity to interview this gentleman back when I was calling the show My Independence Report. You can still go back there to listen to his previous interview, which is there, along with some 500 other episodes. But we've chosen to go to Positive Talk Radio because it's a little bit more positive and stuff like that. But one of the things that I did back then was I featured musical acts and singers and songwriters and people like that. And I really like talking to those people meaning like that guy over there, because they have got some really interesting perspectives on life, and they really are interested in providing inspiration to really inspire us all to do some great things. And Robert Andrew Wagner is no exception to that. And he's with us all the way from Philadelphia, I believe you're at today, right?
Yeah, I'm about halfway between Philadelphia and Reading. But I do bleed black and gold. I'm still 412 for life. I'm a Pittsburgher at heart. I'm a stranger in a strange land out here.
Well, I'm going to forgive you for being a Pittsburgh fan because I'm a Seahawk fan, and you were mean to us years ago. So anyway,
we got lucky. It was Ben Roethlisberger, possibly the worst quarterback performance in Super Bowl history, but Fast Willie Parker got open and scorched his way down the field. But it was yeah. I mean, I could say we were holding out. I thought we were going to get Russell Wilson in the free agent sweepstakes, but we ended up with a guy from Chicago, Mitchell Trubisky.
Yes. Well, we're still mourning Russell's departure out here.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a big change for the Steelers too, with number 7 not being there after
18 years or something.
Yeah. And I'm old enough to remember when he was winning games in Miami of Ohio, and everybody saying, "Oh, but he's not really facing elite competition." It's like the guy never lost a game in grade school. He never lost a game in high school. He never lost a game in college. The first time he ever lost a football game was as a professional.
Yeah. And I would just like to mention to you that years ago, back in 1980. I worked at a hotel in Seattle. It was the Doubletree Plaza Hotel, brand new facility. And so it drew some of the finest sports teams. And I got a chance to wait on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
And they came into the dining room, and Franco Harris was there, and Rocky Blyer was there, and your place kicker at the time, I forget his name, but Bradshaw was there. And I'll never forget the story of Jack Lambert was last seen on a Saturday night in the lobby of the Doubletree Plaza Hotel, spanking an assistant coach at 2:00 in the morning. Jack Lambert was their middle linebacker who was a fierce competitor.
Yeah.
And he beat us up all the time. But in any event, I digress, because Robert Andrew Wagner is here, and he is the leader of, and please say it for me so I don't screw it up,
the Little Wretches. WRETCHES, as in like Les Miserables. I'm sure people are familiar with the movie and the stage play Les Miserables, the Victor Hugo novel. That's sort of what the Little Wretches are all about.
Very nice. And where did you come up with the name, and what does it mean?
Oh, well, literally, we were putting the band together, and I used to live off the campus of the University of Pittsburgh, and there was every every night of the week you could catch a great classic movie. So Carnegie, I think it was Carnegie Museums of Pittsburgh, had a new wave French movies series, and I went to see a movie called The 400 Blows, directed by Francois Truffaut. So it had French subtitles, and it's about juvenile delinquents, a kid who basically, I don't know if he runs away or if he's kicked out of the house, but he and his friend, they rob a rich person's house, and after the robbery, they're walking down the steps of a cathedral, and a priest is walking up the steps of the cathedral. And as they cross paths with the priest, they say, "Good morning, ma'am." And of course, the priest takes offense at being called ma'am, and he turns around and says, "Little wretch." And so in the subtitles, when I saw a Little Wretch come up on the subtitles, I just turned around to the people I was playing music with, said, "That's the name of our band. We're the Little Wretches." And immediately the guitar player says, "Oh, I could see I would love to be referred to as a little wretch in an ironic sense." So, and that kind of calls upon, my whole worldview. A lot of people make the association between the Little Wretches and the hymn "Amazing Grace," how great the sound that saved a wretch like me, or the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes: "Blessed are the meek, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the persecuted, blessed are the peacemakers." All that. So that's kind of my whole worldview with our songs. I write a lot of songs about people who are not. We're on the outside of things. We're outside, staring through the window, looking at the party, wondering why are you in there and we're out here in the cold.
Well, and we've actually got a couple of your songs queued up and ready to play, so that we can get a sampling of your work, which I would like to play one of them earlier rather than later, so people can get an idea of what we're talking about musically and the type of things. And so, do you want to, now you've got a current song out that's called "Running," right?
Yeah, Running, we put out kind of right before Easter season, right before the Lenten holiday, and then shortly followed up with the other one that you have, Palms and Crosses, and they both have a similar theme. Do you want me to tell the story of Running, or?
Yeah. Well, first of all, which would you like to play first?
Oh, well, if you put on Running, that Rosa, the great Rosa Colucci, is the lead vocalist on it, so people won't get to hear my mellifluous voice. But
I don't even know what that word means. I can't. I'm
I
kidding.
don't know, just kind of smooth. But I don't think anybody's going to pay money to hear me sing, but I can write. I can write as well as anybody. Rosa, people would pay good money to hear her sing.
Well,
She
why don't you tell us the story of Running, and then we'll play that song so that people get
well,
an idea of what we're talking about.
okay. Well, I'm a songwriter, and when I met Rosa and brought her into the Little Wretches, I told her job was to make me sound better. There's in the history of pop music, country music, rock music, the duet is a powerful force, but a lot of the women singers are really making the men singers sound better than they are. Emmylou Harris singing with Graham Parsons, Joan Baez singing with Bob Dylan, that kind of thing. So Rosa was going to be the Joan Baez to my Bob Dylan, the Emmylou Harris to, my Neil Young or something. And she asked me, she's a good singer, so people wanted to hear her. So she said, write a song for me to sing. And Rosa, again, this is not my story to tell. I don't want to violate her privacy, but she's pretty much been on her own since she was 15. And she never really graduated from high school, but graduated number 2 in her class at Point Park University. If the world was coming to an end and you could turn to one human being to save it, I would turn to Rosa. So knowing that she left home at the age of 15, I was watching, it was around Easter season, and they always play the movie The Ten Commandments on TV. So I'm watching Cecil B. DeMille, Charlton Heston, and there, I was thinking about that moment when the Hebrews, the Israelites, are kind of told, okay, you're free, get out of here. And then they look back and they notice the Pharaoh's army started to chase them. And they come up to the side of the Red Sea. And I wonder how many of them actually really had the faith, or just, look, we can't stay here. Everybody else is running. I'm running too. So it's kind of a song about leaving an impossibly bad situation and entering who knows what. But all you know is the life that you're leaving. You can't go back to that, and you can't stay there anymore. So I thought it would be something that Rosa would be able to put her heart into. And when you hear it, so she put her heart into it.
Oh, exactly. It's a beautiful song, and it's well written, and it's beautifully performed. And why don't we just play that now, and that'll give folks an idea of the type of work that you do. And by the way, where can they pick this song up if they want to? Because it's part of the new album, isn't it?
No, Running is actually from an album that came out a couple of years ago called Undesirables and Anarchists.
Oh, okay.
So
that's in the first time that we talked about that album.
Yeah, and back when we were promoting that album, I was always wondering, like, why aren't people jumping all over Running? It's so beautiful. But so as Easter season was approaching, I said, we got to make a lyric video for Running. We need to get that out there. And it's not brand new, but we're all, every time we play, we're rediscovering it, and people can get it anywhere you stream music. First of all, I need to throw this in there. Real music lovers purchase music and have their collection, and when their friends visit, they let people sample their collection of music. Nowadays, everybody streams, but we songwriters don't make any money. I think I make maybe 0.4 of a cent every time somebody streams a song. Whereas, if you buy a song for 99 cents or $1.29, probably 80% of that goes in my bank account, and I like that. So, but you can get us anywhere. We're everywhere, folks.
And I'm willing to tell you right now that it's coming to light that Spotify and others are not treating musicians with the respect and with the payment that they deserve based upon. I mean, there are artists that literally have 500,000 downloads, and they make like $60. And that really is just not appropriate. Because songwriters are the backbone, in my opinion. Songwriters are the backbone of our country. You provide a lot of the inspiration, the ability for us to get out and to move and to dance and to really enjoy life, and you put your heart and soul into this work, and to get not compensated appropriately is just a crime, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. But then again, if I were the brains behind Spotify, I would think, look what I did. I connected the public with this great body of music, and they can listen to it for almost nothing. And if I was the public, I would say, oh, look at this bountiful world. I get all this beauty for free. But those of us who create the beauty, we do have to put food in the fridge and gas in the tank and, plug the holes in the roof. So we do appreciate when people support the arts.
Exactly. And do it in a meaningful way. And that's, $1.29 is nothing, but you put together 500,000 of $1.29, and that becomes something. And
if all those streams were purchases, oh man, our next album would be paid for, and
Yes, indeed. So let's play the song "Running" by the Little Wretches, and Robert Andrew Wagner is the writer. So with that, enjoy, folks. It's a great song.
ain't no time to reconsider. Waters parted, it was drowned or be delivered. It was almost a reflex to stand my ground. Something told my heart that's not a way to ride. All I really needed was some time to heal, but there was no time. I wasn't made of steel. Had me on so long I would have cut a deal and sold my soul away. Seemed like running was the only thing to do, the only thing to do, so I ran. Running was the only thing to do, the only thing to do, so I ran. Well, maybe something clicked, or maybe something snapped after the first step. There was no turning back. I used to lie awake sometimes for half the night. I had enough turmoil to last me all my life. All I really needed was some breathing room, but my hiding place slowly became my tomb. Had me down so long I started to assume that I would never see the light of day. Seemed like running was the only thing to do, the only thing to do, so I ran. Running was the only thing to do, the only thing to do, so I ran. Oh, you should know where you come from. You should honor the past. Godspeed, carry you forward and carry you fast. Seemed like running. I was running. I was running. I was running, 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 running. I was running, running, running,
That is a beautiful song. That was
Yeah,
really dope.
I get choked up listening to it. I mean, you have no idea. Well, maybe you do, but because that's one of the songs where all I have to do is stand there and play the guitar and listen to the drummer and listen to the vocals, and you can get really caught up in that, the emotion of it, and then I just think, man, I get to be a part of this. We're creating beauty. We're putting some power that can actually move minds, touch hearts, change
That's
the
why
hearts
you,
of men, man. And I get to be
yep,
part of it, you know.
that's what you do. The why you do what you do, because you're going to influence and you're going to change somebody's life, and you'll have no idea who they are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a little like, you know, the story of Johnny Appleseed. You know, we out there, we throw out the seeds. We don't know which ones are going to take root or where they're going to grow. Uh, so they, you don't know it. And I just, you know, a lot of this is just kind of driven by faith too. I mean, I have my own little mission. I can honestly say my life was saved by music. If I didn't have music, I have no idea how I would have gotten past the age of 17. And I know from people confiding in me that, you know, there's a handful of people out there that can say that my music helped get them through. And so you never know who's out there.
Well, I'd venture to say there's more than a handful.
Oh,
Because
I hope, but that's we have no control of that. We can only make this stuff, and you know where it comes from too. That's the other. A lot of times people ask about, you know, inspiration, and man, I have, you know, what did Plato say? Socrates say, beauty is divine. It definitely is not the product of any great genius on my part. It just, it's given to us, and we have to make it, you know. Can I share with you a weird little story?
of course.
Okay. You know, there was a period maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I was hardly playing, you know, just it wasn't getting any gigs. We weren't really recording anything. And I was, you know, listening to the news, and there was a news story about a guy from a church down near Philly who got caught stealing from the collection basket. You know how a church, they pass the collection plate? Well, the guy was stealing money from the church and had been doing it for several years. And I had this little thought. I said, man, I hate to be that guy. Having
be
to
no fun.
answer for stealing from God. And then I hear this little voice that says, every day that you don't practice your guitar, you're stealing from God. Like, yeah. We're all given a gift. We're all given, you know, something. We're all giving talents to make something with. Do you ever see the movie Rudy?
Oh yeah.
I was just watching the movie Rudy with some youngsters, and there's a scene where Rudy gets his acceptance letter to Notre Dame, and that's, you know, that's been the driving force of his whole life. And he goes back to the steel mill and shows his dad the acceptance letter and shows his brother the acceptance letter. And all the kids look at me and they say, "Oh, they don't seem too excited." It's like, well, one, because they're the ones who told him all of his life, you can't do it. Don't waste your time. It'll never happen. And now they have to eat their words, and then they have to examine their own lives and wonder, what if they really believed in themselves? What else might they have accomplished? So yeah, they're happy for him, but it's a melancholy moment for them as well.
See, I knew that's why I wanted to have you back on the show, because you've got that. That is a wonderful message, and it is the foundation of what I'm doing with Positive Talk Radio, because we're all sitting here going, is this all there is? And why am I really here? What am I here to do? And you found, through music, you found an avenue to express yourself. And by the way, I'm a firm believer that music is divinely inspired. What do you think?
I absolutely believe that. There's, you know, look, you know, I try to stay away from like religious catchphrases and stuff like that, because I don't want anybody pigeonholing me or
Right.
putting me in a box. So I'm reluctant to sometimes to say what I really think, you know, or at least not use the buzzwords. But there's in your introduction, you mentioned kindness. One of the songs on our new album is called Loving Kindness. And that's a song where I actually just come out and say, this is what I believe. And in order for music to be divinely inspired, that means that you believe there is the divine, that there, there is a world beyond what we do. I don't, I tried, nothing against, I have dear friends that are atheists and skeptics, and, they can't get themselves to make faith-based statements because it just goes against the grain of their thinking. They've trained themselves to base everything on evidence. Whereas me, I mean, I look around, it's like the evidence is everywhere. I woke up this morning, was able to take a breath. I wake up in the morning sometimes, not in the best of moods, but more times than not, I just feel like I got to thank somebody. I mean, I like the taste of a hamburger. I like the crunch of a salad. I like the feeling of cold air on my face. Who do I thank for this? I'm not responsible for any of it. And the music itself, it's an expression of joy, but it can also there's a short story called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" It was the foundation for the Blade Runner movie series. And in there, it's, set in the dystopian future, and people have mood regulators. So if they're feeling kind of down and they want to feel happy, they adjust their mood regulator. But one of the things that puzzles the people within the story is that so many people choose to be sad. Like, oh, I want to have a little bit of sadness right now. I need to turn it down. I want to experience a little bit of sorrow and grief here. And that, that's all part of our experience. I think the sorrows help to make the joys meaningful.
I couldn't agree more. And when I say divinely inspired, what I mean by that is, well, as an example, Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday in the middle of the night. It wasn't something that he'd planned. He woke up with the tune in his head. And where that came from, who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had. I mean, I'm not Paul McCartney, but I've had that experience of songs. I mean, there are some songs that you could tweak for a decade. You could be waiting for the pieces to come together, or sometimes you can even force it. And there are people that sit down to write a song like some people sit down to bake a cake. But I've had songs come to me fully formed. I just pick up my guitar and the song is there. How do you account for that?
You can't because it is, it's the same thing. I look at it like John Edward, the psychic medium. There are things that that comes to him that are clearly not from his psyche, from his memory, from his experience, from his mind, if it involves somebody else who he's never met. And that happens to us all the time. Intuition is something that some people poo-poo it, but it really is a real thing. And when you're open to it the way you are, and you've got the tools to be able to take a tune and put it to a chord progression, or if it's going to be in G or C or whatever, and what works and that kind of stuff. That's the real talent of songwriting, don't you think?
I don't really know. I mean, a lot of it for me, I listened to the Beatles. I listened to the pop songs, by Carole King and some of the great Tin Pan Alley songwriters. And I think you just kind of assimilate. There's certain things that sound right to you and certain things that just don't sound right to you. But it is just purely intuitive. And I think that's from the big debate about it, how they come to the conclusion that beauty is divine. Because could you teach it? Well, you could teach somebody an awful lot of skills. You could take people and teach them how to act, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to create great actors capable of beauty. You could take an ordinary person and through instruction and practice, they could learn how to play an instrument, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be capable of creating beauty with that instrument. And in that sense, well, then where does that mysterious beauty element, creative element come from? It's like, well, it comes from something that we can't account for, so we're going to call it divine origin, because if it was human origin, we would be able to pass it on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and songwriting would be something that father to son to son to son. It doesn't work that way. Some of us have a special gift, and you said it earlier in the interview, and you said that that it's important to take your gift and do the best you can with it, and to not poo-poo it or not to downplay it, but to celebrate it and to really work on it. And that's what you are doing with your work and with your music. I think it really is a cool thing, and it's a lesson that can be learned by all of us.
Yeah. Well, I woke up from a dream a couple of weeks ago, and the phrase that was in my mind was, "Do your work where you are." I don't know. I might even have said this the last time we were talking. There was when I was a freshman in college, there was a kid in the same program as me who was a senior. His name was Peter Oresic. And a lot of people who knew him said, Peter is the best poet they've ever met. And me, an aspiring writer, so I kind of idolized Peter. He has his first book published, when I'm a freshman in college. So a few years later, I'm out of school. He's, in the working world. And I bump into him outside the University of Pittsburgh bookstore, and he starts telling me about his kids and his family. And then I finally stop him and say, "No, Peter, I want you to tell me about your work." And to me, his work was his poetry. And then he said, "No, what I've come to understand is that my work is raising my family." And that just kind of like, oh, that's right. I mean, for most people, that's the most important thing they're going to do is raise their children, teach them how to love, teach them how to take care of themselves, maybe teach them how to earn a living. I have a friend who's a sheet metal worker, and he's also an art collector. But he had this feeling that he should be doing something more profound than just working with sheet metal. I said, look, most of my songs, nobody's going to know they existed. 100 years from now, they probably will have been forgotten. But if you do a good job with your sheet metal work, it'll still be here 100 years from now, won't it? It won't have your name on it, but if you do good work, it will last beyond your lifetime and serve people that you've never met. And that's, do your work where you are. And you might not even know. I mean, one of the things that sometimes I think about, because there's a high mortality rate in the band of the Little Wretches. A lot of people who've been in our band have gone on to meet their maker. And sometimes I think to myself, man, I must have a purpose because I'm still here. Why am I still here and they're gone? And thank goodness that they were willing to devote their creative energies into my thing. When they could have had their own bands, they could have been writing their own songs, but no, they threw their creative force into my project, the Little Wretches, and I have to be successful to honor their memory and their effort.
Absolutely. But by the way, the work that you've done and the music that you've written, you don't know where that's going to go over time or down the road, who it's going to touch, who it's going to inspire to do something else or to follow in your footsteps and stuff like that. So you're following, and that's the thing, in my humble opinion, that's none of your concern.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a line in the Bible. One of my many side jobs, this goes way back. I was working as a substitute teacher for Pittsburgh public schools, and I was stunned to see how many teachers had Bibles on their desks. So I'm sitting there at lunchtime and I flip open a Bible, and the line that jumps out at me is, he who puts his shoulder to the plow and looks back is not worthy to enter the kingdom of God. Do the work. Don't ask about the reward. Don't look back at how don't pat yourself on the back. Don't agonize over how hard the work has been. Just do the work. That's what you're here to do. Everything else will take care of itself.
That's exactly right. And by the way, if you're passionate about what you do, or you have a passion, and you can't do it professionally because it doesn't pay, still do it. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you can't not do it. It means that if you're passionate about something, do it however and the best you can. Just do the work. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
great.
Rosa's dad, he came over from Italy in the late 1950s with nothing. I think he had like $5 in his pocket the day he got married. And he had like an operatic voice like Placido Domingo. And he wrote some songs. He made a little 7-inch 45, but you know, he had to feed his family. So he did construction and cement work and built up his contracting business. But to this day, when he sees me, all he wants to do is talk about music. And he still has a lot of bitterness in his heart over the fact that what he really wanted to do was make music and sing. And he ended up, you know, shoveling gravel and climbing ladders and digging ditches and, you know, carrying bricks. Again, doing very important work and raising his family. But what he really wanted to do was music, and he didn't get to do it.
You know, one of the reasons why I do this show and I'm following because I just love doing this. I love talking to people like you, and it just fills my soul. And part of it's because of my father, who ended up doing a job he didn't like for 35 years. He wanted to be a golf pro and work in a golf setting, or like be the pro of a country club or something like that. Well, it didn't pay quite enough. He also wanted to go on the tour, and he was good enough to do it. But he ended up with kids he had 3 kids by the time he was 25, and then it makes it really tough. So he went to work, and he just kept on working and working. And so at the end of his life, he had regrets. He wasn't able to do the things in life that he wanted to do. And I think that took a toll on him, and it takes a toll on all of us. Don't live your life in a way that you can be proud of who you are. You can be kind to other people. You can live your passion. And on your last day, you can say, a job well done. I don't have any regrets. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. You know what I was thinking? There's an album by Van Morrison called Avalon Sunset, and there's a lyric line Van Morrison sings: "When you live the life you love, you get the blessings from above." If if you do what you are meant to be doing, you will be provided with what you need. But if and if you don't do what you're meant to be doing, you're just going to always be have a little bit of inner conflict about it. Do now, again, you have to really be called. People might want to be famous, people might want to be rich, but that might not be their calling. But if you do understand, if your heart is moved and you get that, when I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, I don't get hungry. I don't get tired. I look up and 7 hours have passed and I feel like I just started. There are ways that that you're doing something that you're meant to be doing. You have that, bottomless fire, the endless fuel source. And then that's kind of a hint that you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So, and if you're doing that, good things will come of it. And if you're not doing that, how do you face the day? I guess that's why people drink. I don't know.
It could very well be. By the way, we're talking with Robert Andrew Wagner. He is you would be the leader of the band because you've had lots of folks that have come and gone, right?
Yeah, I'm the founder. My brother and I, Charles Wagner, started the band, and we started it because I'm a songwriter. I'd already been playing for a few years and had come to realize that what I'm good at is writing, but because I'm something of a storyteller. All stories need a context. All pictures need a frame. My what I do doesn't necessarily fit in with what my contemporaries are doing. Like it's even hard sometimes for the Little Wretches to find other bands to play with, because our thing is our thing. And as just background music, we're just kind of mediocre, but if you actually listen to us, we can change your heart. So I needed to build this thing, the Little Wretches, as a vehicle for my writing. And my brother was the first one on board. And then I recruited a few other people that I'd played with in my previous band, but it was no longer a partnership. It was, I'm the captain of this ship, and you're helping me steer it through the storm. You're contributing your labor, but I'm the captain on this one. This is not really a partnership. And there have been times over the years where we've had other songwriters in the band that I felt like we shared the same mission, we shared the same vision, and our talents complemented each other. But the band from the beginning was a vehicle for my songwriting. And the new one that we just did, I feel like some of those songs that are on the new album, like there's a song called Duquesne. I played that in like 1980 at one of the first gigs we ever played, an early version of it. It's a song about my grandmother and some people that she worked with in a tailor shop, all immigrants, all speaking different languages. And it was like the first real job that I ever had. And all these people, many of them were illegal immigrants. There were, wonderful, amazing tailors back in Europe. And here they are working, hemming pants and reattaching buttons for under the table cash. But they would all go home and watch public television and then come in the next day. And while they were working, they would argue about, and, there were Greeks and Venezuelans and Italians and Hungarians, but they managed to communicate with each other. And the word you'd hear most often was propaganda. They would be trying to communicate with each other about what was on the news, propaganda. And they all knew what propaganda was. And all I would listen to these people talk and think, there's more wisdom down in this basement tailor shop right here. There's more beauty right here. I wish I could get the whole world. I wish I could record these conversations for the world to hear. And so some of that stuff that I've been thinking about since I was 17, 18, 19 years old. It made it onto this album finally.
Isn't it amazing? You just referenced 1980. Does it feel like it's been 40 years?
No. I if you had asked me back then where I'd be now, I would have had different. Well, I don't even know. I don't know if I could have envisioned it all. Really, even back then, like I never imagined. I told you before we started to record that I'm house hunting. When I was a kid, I just assumed I'm never going to have a house. I'm never going to have a car. I'm never going to have a job. Whatever sacrifice I have to make, I'm going to make it, because I'm never going to do anything that I don't believe in. I'm never going to do anything that I don't want to do. I mean, I was pretty full of myself in some ways, but I've kind of been true to that. I mean, there were times when we would make cassette tapes, sell them for $5, and I'd go out knowing that if I don't sell 2 cassettes tonight, I don't get to eat tomorrow. And I was completely cool with that. There was no sacrifice house, I'm never going to have a house. Car, I'm never going to have a car. Family, I'm never going to have a family. Now, I've been gifted some of those things. Some of those things have come my way, but not because I set out to acquire them. All I ever wanted to do is wake up in the morning thinking about where I'm playing tonight.
Exactly. Now let's talk about, before we run out of time, let's talk about the other song that we're going to play.
Well, it's this whole collection. I'm a Slovak. Actually, my mother's side of the family, they're even deeper than just Slovak. They're Carpatho-Rusin. A lot of those ethnicities of Eastern Europe are, very particular and very insular. But around Easter, we would always have this little like minced beets with horseradish in it. And I would eat the whole bowl. They would have to tell me to stop eating it when I was a kid. So a few years ago, I got a hankering for some red beets and horseradish. And I went on the internet to see if I could find the right recipe. What's the ratio between the beets and the horseradish? And I found out that the dish is actually symbolic. So people who are Serbian that eat red beets and horseradish, the red beets, the red is symbolic of the blood of their people. The horseradish symbolic of the bitterness of their suffering. For Slovaks or Carpatho-Rusins, it's the blood of our Savior and the bitterness of his suffering. For Jews, they don't consume any blood. The red's just there for flavoring, but the horseradish is symbolic of their suffering and bondage. So once I had that understanding, so okay, then I have this song called Duquesne about my grandmother and her co-workers. That was sort of the song that the others kind of attached onto. And it's all songs about the indomitable spirit that keeps crazy people, sick people, old people, people who are alone, working people. It keeps them going, the humor and the spirit that drives them. And the song Palms and Crosses is kind of from the point of view of people who lose everything but have to keep going. And the refrain of the song is, tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. Like from the Easter story, the day after the crucifixion, I'm sure most people said, oh man, this is we bet on the wrong horse there. Or like I saw a movie on Netflix called the Bader-Meinhof Complex, where there was sort of like a terrorist organization that, they wanted to change the world. They ended up getting involved in some crime, and they were sentenced to be executed, and they took their own lives in prison rather than allow the government to execute them. And I felt so much, maybe you did some good that you don't know about. Tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. Yesterday you lost the battle, but as long as you stay in the game, the victory could be tomorrow. So that's what Palms and Crosses is all about.
Well, I'll tell you what. By the way, this is Robert Andrew Wagner, and he's a songwriter. He wrote this song for Little Wretches, and here it is.
1 week arms, joy and praise, hearts are lifted, voices raised. The next week nails and crowns of thorns, the mother of God herself will mourn. A handful of stragglers wait to be seen, asking themselves what it is that they've seen. Best go home, assess our losses. 1 week palms, next week crosses. 1 week palms, next week crosses. Most of life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. A single mom with 3 small kids, a picnic lunch under the bridge. Catch a line, catch a few fish, eat spaghetti off a styrofoam dish. Throw your ball, ride your bike, there you go, just play nice. Look, ma, look, you got a bite. He stole your bait, story of my life. 1 week palms, next week crosses. Most of life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. A mother with her children on the 4th of July, waving sparklers on a cordoned-off street. I told you keep your shoes on, don't blame me when you wind up with glass in your feet. Birthday parties, wedding gifts, got her under the store, can you give me a lift? Ooh, this looks cool, what's it do? It catches dreams, all that isn't true. Well, how do you know? You gotta believe. Alright, ask ye shall receive. Bring me back the friends I lost. Yeah, that's right, just like I thought. 1 week pause, next week crosses. Mostly life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means.
Very nice tune. It's got a very great message. I like the message of that.
Yeah, I'm listening to it thinking, oh man, I love playing that song.
What's it like? I got to ask you, because most of us have never, ever, ever been on stage with a band and you're all in unison and you're making some really killer music. What must that be like?
Well, there's nothing like it. And in fact, with the Little Wretches at our best, I hate to use war imagery, but I feel like, you know, we're going to war with all the baloney and all the horse manure out there. Like when we step up on stage, we've washed our hands of all the baloney, all yeah, I'm trying not to use vulgar language, but we've washed our hands of all the filth, and we're 100% united in the spirit of what we're doing. And then there's nothing like it. You know, we were talking about sports earlier, and I'm sure that like championship teams have that feeling too. That we're a brotherhood, a sisterhood, whatever it is that we are. There's a unity and a strength that we share that people outside of this group can't imagine.
There is no, I was a football player in my high school days, and there was never anything as the teamwork that's involved. It's not a singular thing. If one fails, we all fail. If one succeeds, we all succeed. So, you know, it's one of those things where, and I think that's the basis for humanity. We all, especially now with the way our planet is going, if we all succeed, we'll do well. But we can't divide it. We can't be divisive anymore. We all have to recognize that we are all together in this thing, and we've got a finite planet. We don't have anywhere else to go, so we got to take care of each other and take care of it.
Yeah. That's. I like to keep it simple. You know, who's gonna water the garden? Who's gonna wash the dishes? You know, who's gonna take out the garbage? We have to clean up for ourselves. You know, if the old saying, you break it, you bought it. You made the mess, you clean it up. You got to leave it. My family, when we were little, we would go on vacations to this cabin in the woods. And the idea was every time you visit, you're going to do some kind of repair, and you're going to leave something for the next guests. You're going to leave it better than you found it. And, you know, geez, I sure wish that was part of our psyche as people, that we endeavored to leave on the short term and the long term, moment to moment, leave things better than we found them. You know,
I have to tell you, I was a bus driver for a long time, and I actually saw a guy. He was at the bus stop. He had one of those big gulp from 7-Eleven, you know, the 132-ounce thing or whatever it was. And he finished it, and he started walking towards the bus, and there was a garbage can. He walked right by the garbage can, and he threw the thing on the floor, on the ground. And it was like, I just looked at him and said, do you realize you just walked past the garbage can? And he said, oh, I don't care. gets on the bus. So I get off the bus and put the cup into the garbage, and I wasn't really in a hurry to do that because I wanted him to wait because I mean the humanity or lack of humanity that unfortunately some of us have is just it's frightening, and I'm working and with people like you who I'm working to try and bring more humanity back to us so that we can all live in peace, like I say in the beginning, live in peace, live in harmony, have a good time, listen to some music, have a hot dog, relax and enjoy life. That's what I want.
Yeah, amen. And I mean, I like the whole theme of the show, positive talk radio. That's you have to work at being positive. I mean, you have to consciously make an effort to do it.
You do.
And peace, peace isn't necessarily a natural occurrence. In the animal kingdom, there's a food chain. It could be considered perfectly natural for the strong to take advantage of the weak. I'm stronger than you. I'm going to take what you have. No, that's what separates us. We're able to communicate with each other through the gift of language, and we can care for, feed, provide shelter for each other. We can't live like Jeremiah Johnson out in the woods by ourselves. We need each other.
We do indeed. We do indeed. By the way, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Robert Andrew Wagner, how do they do it?
Well, probably the best way is to go to our website, littlewretches.com. There's no the band is called The Little Wretches, but the website is just littlewretches.com. Look us up on Facebook or Instagram or any of those places. We're very accessible. My email address is posted everywhere. It's I don't want to give it out here, but if anybody wants it, just look us up, and we respond very quickly to messages. I feel like, I mean, obviously I'm trying to make a living and turn a profit from my activities, but anybody who listens to our music, I feel like you're part of my family. Thank you. As I said, I spend an awful lot of my time these days feeling I need to thank somebody.
Well, and I'd like to thank you for for coming on the show today and doing what you're doing, because you are really working to make a difference in society, and I really appreciate that. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
No, I was listening, thinking of what I just said. Yeah, moment to moment, leave things better than you found them. Day to day, leave things better than you found them. Year to year, across the course of your lifetime, leave things better than you found them.
There's a song in there somewhere, young man.
Yeah. Oh, dang! Now I gotta get off and pick up my guitar and write something.
Yes, indeed. Well, you've got a very poetic sense in the way you talk, in the music and the lyrics that you write, and the music is dynamic. And make sure you tell your singer that she is really, really good, and she adds a lot.
Yeah, Rosa rocks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Robert Andrew Wagner. Go to littlewretches.com and get all the information about them. And do me a favor, spend $1 and buy a song. Don't download it or don't stream it. Buy it. It can be your offering to the musical people of the world, because I would hate to see them go away because they have starved and have to go become a sheet metal worker or something like that, rather than pursuing your dreams. Always pursue your dreams. So with that, Robert Andrew Wagner, thank you so much. Stay there. I'll be right back. Thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of kmmedia.pro. Please visit our website, oddly enough, named kmmedia.pro, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to each other, because each other's all we've got.